The President agreed to change enough of the program so it was legally acceptable to the Justice Department. The change remains top secret.
I want to thank my superb campaign team.
That fall, the President and the Vice President won re-election.
The Vice President serves America with wisdom and honor, and I'm proud to serve beside him.
Attorney General John Ashcroft, Jack Goldsmith, and other top Justice Department officials left the administration. Then, the President's own lawyer, Alberto Gonzales, was named Attorney General.
He'd been on the Vice President's side in these battles. They wanted somebody they could control.
It was an effort by the White House to get control again of justice, to make sure that there's no repeat of that rebellion of 2004.
As Gonzales prepared for what promised to be bruising confirmation hearings, Justice published on its website a kinder, gentler torture memo.
Its first words are, "Torture is abhorrent."
Torture is abhorrent both to American law and values and to international norms.
It's a much more modest-sounding memo, although it also has a critical footnote that says, by the way, everything we've been doing up until now we still think is legal.
While we have identified various disagreements with the August 2002 memorandum,
that footnote calls into question whether this really was a change or was just window dressing.
The nation has a new Attorney General, Alberto Gonzales.
Behind the scenes, Gonzales took charge. He began to exert control over the OLC, appointing Stephen Bradbury to replace Jack Goldsmith. But the appointment had a catch.
Some people at Justice told us that that was essentially a trial period during which he had to demonstrate to the White House that he wasn't going to make any big trouble.
Bradbury wrote a top-secret opinion to authorize the harshest techniques yet for CIA interrogations.
These are very harsh techniques which had not been approved in decades of U.S. practice, including slapping people, keeping them in cold rooms, sleep deprivation, bombarding them with music, and even waterboarding, this simulated drowning. This opinion, we're told, gives expansive approval to the combination of those different tactics.
Stephen Bradbury passed his trial period. The President nominated him permanent head of the Office of Legal Counsel. By this time, the Vice President found himself engaged in a new struggle with Congress. Abu Ghraib.
Demonstrators gathered outside Iraq's Abu Ghraib prison today, protesting the treatment of inmates at the hands.
On Capitol Hill, Congress was beginning to stir. The issue? Torture.
Abuse of prisoners harms, not helps, in the war on terror. It is now time for Congress to say no.
Even conservative Republicans in the Senate began to complain.
Congress has been AWOL when it comes to the war on terror in terms of interrogation, detention, and prosecution, and we've done it in a way to weaken our nation.
The Vice President's fear that Congress would force a showdown and limit the President's power was now a reality.
Never simply fight evil with evil.
Senator John McCain introduced a tough anti-torture resolution. It was gaining strong support when the Vice President began to act.
In ways public and private, and especially private, Cheney starts heading to the Hill and lobbying McCain especially.
There was a lot of real hardball going on and arm twisting in which they were going to loyal Republicans and saying, if you prohibit us from doing these things, people will die.
For those in Congress who believed the executive branch had gone too far, torture was just the kind of issue where they could draw the line.
This isn't about who they are. This is about who we are.
The President threatened to use his first veto ever, but in a 90-9 vote, the Senate rebuked the White House.
President Bush is forced to retreat after
The White House reversed course.
Vice President Dick Cheney long resisted McCain.
It looked like a rare setback for the Vice
The
President.
announcement came after months of administration resistance.
So the White House arranged a public display of capitulation. The President acknowledged McCain and Congress's victory.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks, John. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
The President decided to sign the bill from his ranch in Crawford 5 days after Christmas.
Congress is out of town, the president's out of town, most of the press corps is on vacation. No one's really paying attention to what's happening. And around 8 p.m. on the day he signs this bill, the White House quietly issues a document which gets filed into the Federal Register.
The document, known as a signing statement, had been drafted by White House staff.
On the day of the signing, this statement is sitting in the staff secretariat's office. David Addington takes his copy and he literally draws a red line through the entire text. And he substitutes a single, very long sentence.
Some in Washington were watching closely for just such a move.
I was actually on my way out to a New Year's Eve party, waiting for it to appear on the White House website, and sure enough, it popped up.
The executive branch shall construe in a manner consistent with the constitutional authority of the President to supervise the unitary executive branch as Commander-in-Chief.
And what that means in plain English was, my instructions to the executive branch is, this provision is unconstitutional because it infringes on my core exclusive powers as President. And so regardless of the fact that I've signed it into law, it need not be obeyed as written.
In Washington, they began searching for more signing statements from the administration. The Boston Globe found hundreds of them.
What it turned out to be was a roadmap, essentially, to the implications of the unfettered presidency that the Cheney legal team was trying to create.
Lawmakers say that signing statement defeats the purpose of the law.
Members of Congress want to know why President Bush just ignored the law.
Raising questions about the reach of executive...
The signing statements were primarily the handiwork of one person in the administration, David Addington.
Addington is the Picasso of signing statements, the master of the art form, and nobody has created more of them and insisted on putting more of them into legislation, so it's really his thing.
He was, during my time in office, the person that was pure on defending every single potential presidential prerogative from congressional intrusion through signing statements.
Within the signing statements are more than 1,000 implicit constitutional challenges to acts of Congress.
It's a direct showdown constitutionally between the President and Congress. Congress has the right to pass laws, but the President's saying, but I'm not going to obey all your laws.
While the signing statements were one way to challenge Congress, writing legal opinions was another. A new, highly classified opinion from the OLC reportedly limited the effect of the McCain Amendment.
It essentially let the CIA off the hook, even under the new standard that Congress was about to impose.
In effect, it appears the White House had managed to get the OLC to let them do what they wanted.
The Justice Department, in these secret opinions in 2005, which remain in effect, has carved out essentially the same latitude for the CIA to do the things that it was doing under the John Yoo memo of 2002.
Democrats will have the upper hand in the new Congress.
Democrats took control of the House for the first time in 12 years.
In the fall of 2006, the midterm elections.
It's a sweep. Democrats have sealed control of both houses of Congress.
Discontent with the president is having a major impact on these elections.
After the Democrats won, they wanted some of Congress's power back.
Now, Cheney and Addington have something very different to deal with. A Congress with subpoena power.
Congress began by digging into that crown jewel issue, warrantless domestic wiretapping.
I was very upset. I was angry. I prepared a letter of resignation, intending to resign.
James Comey, Jack Goldsmith's boss at the DOJ, was called to testify. Under oath, he revealed that hospital story and the reasons he threatened to resign.
I believed that I couldn't stay if the administration was going to engage in conduct that the Department of Justice had said had no legal basis. I simply couldn't stay.
Congress wanted more information, so it issued subpoenas for some of the Vice President's documents, including those from the OLC.